welcome to Gen Z podcast. Today we are here with Sudhanshu, and congratulations on publishing your new book, The Future Is Ours. So, could you tell the audience a little about your book?
It's quite simple. When you look at the books and that are available in India, you have two types. One is, they are kind of anthropological pursuits, young people and stories and narratives, and they're really good work. But I'm not a journalist. I couldn't do that. The second thing is interviews with young politicians. The young politician is 50 years old, right? And these books have often come out on the market. What I didn't get was, why wasn't there a book that was accessible, that looked at politics through the perspective of age and not focused on an individual, but focused on the larger demographic and its politics. So that's what I set out to do initially, and makes it that it was accessible. Because in Delhi, you can find your audience for any political book. It'll be there. But this matters so much. It's that, people at Presidency College should also be talking about who we're electing, how we're electing, and to do so in a non-partisan way. See, everything is such a mess, chaos when it comes to elections sometimes. And people, as you were saying before this interview, we tone out. We zone out. We don't want to be talking, discussing, etc. because it's so much. So what I wanted to do is, instead of looking at the hustle and bustle, a very clear cut through the perspective of age and understanding what's happening, what's wrong, what are the gaps, and how do we make our politics better. My thesis is younger politicians can do that. And so I wanted to make it as accessible, and the book is full of charts and graphs and really easy to read in that way.
A lot of students, a lot of us, we don't want to be engaged in the politics, or it's maybe not, mentally we don't like it because there's so much, we always hear the bad news and all that. So how do we approach it? Because we know that it's a major part in our life and we should know about it. So how do you approach it?
We need to unpack the concept of politics. I think we are so obsessed with this negative connotation of politics. I'm not saying that, you should go contest elections. I mean, I would love for you to contest elections. We'd have great younger politicians. But, your civic duty to vote is not politics, right? We have this in our mindset, and that, politics is like this some guy, sitting minister, doing some sort of bad thing, and this negative connotation. But what I'm asking you to do is remove that and focus on voting, registering to vote. Because if you do that, that's the biggest thing you can do, genuinely. The second thing is that this idea that politics is far removed from us, that I can be chill in my life and politics won't really come in the way. Everything in this day and age is political. From the songs that you listen to the dance moves and reels that you're doing, to the people we love, to the people we live with, to our obviously jobs, everything is political in that way. So I think that we can't sit in this ivory tower thinking, oh, I'm interested in politics, I'm not interested in politics. Unfortunately, we have no other option. Fortunately, we have our civic duty. Right? And that decides, from the people that we, choose to love, to the people we live with, to whomever it is, it's ingrained in us. So I think that, we have to do a better job in breaking down the connotations that come with politics, firstly. Secondly, I think that if more young people are voting, they will be more likely to vote for people that they want to see in office. Better people that, we can hold kind of ideals from, not just like one person, but many different levels, right? We have so many positions. And so I think that if we're able to do that, we will have a better connotation of politics too, when better people are elected to office, the people that we want.
I completely agree that, it does affect us. So let's talk about the book. Of course, the book is such a huge success right now. So the thing is a lot of students here, they aspire to be writers, and the Indian, how the people are, how their perspective are, that writing is not a career, you should not write, it should be a side hobby. Or some students, they have the motivation to start to write a book, but then by the end of it they don't end it. They're like, I lost the motivation on the way. So how do those students go for it, as you finished one book yourself?
I wish I could lecture you all on this, because I am also victim to the same kind of aspect. I wrote 40,000 words in 2 months and couldn't finish the rest in 2 years, right? So I think, everyone has their own struggles. I was going through my own things, so I'm not the best person to actually, lecture on this. I think you just have to keep going in some capacity if you're passionate about it. I was very, very passionate about it, but I also understood the timeliness, the aspect that, if we wrote this book now and if it came out, what would be the impact? Especially when the general elections are coming up. So really pushing that as much as possible as I could. And that's what I really wanted to do. So that pushed me to really complete it, even though I was procrastinating so much. I had so many things going on. So if I can get this book out after writing so many words in like 2 months, and then the rest it took me 2 years, then you can do. Right? I think that, it's just a part and parcel of it in that way. And look, forget about writing being this and that. I think the world is developing, right? It's changing. The mediums in which we can get income and support our livelihood is also changing. I mean, technically, would podcasting be a full-time income 4 years ago? No. But then we have hundreds and thousands of podcasters whose literally income, and they're earning much more than any one of ours, can be doing. So I think the world is developing and changing. So the methods in which you write, the things you do, can support that aspect. So I think it's helpful.
There are a lot of people who blindly trust a political party. They will go around and they'll be, breaking stuff and all that. So it brings out a lot of violence, right? And that's why a lot of youth, shun away from it. They're like, no, we don't want to be part of it because we like peace and all that. So what do you think that, that perspective can be changed by what?
I think we need to get more reflective people of us in office, right? I understand, and we were talking about the negative connotations and the fear, but at the other side of it, we also need to understand that I'm not asking you to go out in the streets and protest. That is not the only way you can shape or form your politics, right? It's the idea, again, of something as simple as voting, which is a secret ballot. No one else knows who you're voting for, right? It's things that where we can express ourselves and still feel confident in our safety and security. And look, no one is going to punish you for who you vote in most cases in that way, right? I think we really need to stop a lot of this fear-mongering. And I do think it's fear-mongering. And I say this knowing that I'm a person with privilege. So I'm not going to come here and say, oh, okay, everyone is great, everything is happening. There are struggles that I will never know of people that come from, let's say, a minority background, because I have all the privilege in the world. I hit the lottery when it came to the privilege, right, section. That being said, though, I do strongly believe that this concept of, fear-mongering of when it comes to, India's electoral democracy is at such a high. Look, we've always had conflicts, and it doesn't necessarily relate that the source of it is all bad politics. There are caste issues that get in the way. There are religious issues that get in the way. There are gender issues that get in the way. And sure, they are derived as political, which I completely agree with, but it's not that the source is just all bad politics, or, kyunki you voted, that's why this is happening. Absolutely not, right? So I think that we need to have a little bit more confidence in the system, and we need to make sure that we are getting the people that we want elected, a majority. And of course, that's not going to be like everyone in all cases, but have faith. These politicians are one of us. And they don't need to, one thing I always think about, they don't need to have this complete moral righteousness completely right. At the end of the day, we elect the people that represent us. Their job is to represent our opinions. And if they change, that's great. That's actually indicative of a good political representative, is if they are changing their opinions as society develops and changes too, right? And have more people that are a little bit more representative than us. So I think, we really need to push that out. And the only way we're going to do that, and by the way, the statistics are in our favor. So if we get young people to come out, they will have more authority, power, and the percentage to be able to get more younger politicians in, because we are the largest vote bank. This is the general elections, 2024, the year of the elections, where over 900 million voters will come out to vote, but the largest youth vote bank will be of youth. And so we need to do everything we can. There are still 90 million, 9 crore people that have not registered to vote, and we need to push them to come out to vote, including in this college and around the city of Bangalore, because the biggest problem that we have is not, this politician or this religious or whatever. It's the urban youth voter apathy, that young people are not coming out, because if they came out, they would make sure the people that represent us represent our best interests. So please, please, please make sure that you go and vote, that you're tuned in 2024 because these elections matter. And if you have time, please go buy the book and read the book. It'll give you a perspective on politics and age and how it affects our country. And I hope you enjoy reading.
Thank you for coming to this podcast, and I will require everyone should read his book, and it's great to, I think knowledge is the key to, open-mindedness, so you get knowledge and you get to learn. So I think The Future Is Ours is something that we all should read. Thank you.